Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Allie and this is Allie G Reads, and I was requested to do a bookshelf tour. I have a lot of books though, so in order to not make this video ridiculously long, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to divide each shelf by like a section, so there is probably about 5 videos that are coming. I also want to do something different. I didn't know how to really do a bookshelf tour, so I started watching some videos. What I noticed was like a lot of people like point out what they have, etc., which is great, and they kind of like show off every single book that they have on their shelf, which I love. However, I want to do it a little differently, where I want to like review or give my honest opinion on the books. There are some books on the shelf that I have not read yet. So I'm going to point that out if I haven't read it, etc. So this is kind of going to be bookshelf tour / review of the books I have, and some on this shelf will be roasted. This shelf in particular is my I don't know what to do with it shelf. Like this is my I'm not entirely sure how I feel shelf. It's the rave roast shelf, because there are some books that are really good on this shelf and then there are some fucking terrible books on this shelf. So I'm gonna do that, and without further ado, let's get started. You'll notice that like from like these over are all like books I enjoy or like the aesthetic of, because you see it in the background behind me. So there's that. I will start with this top area. We'll start with these. We'll start with these books. This is a book about John F. Kennedy by Chris Matthews. Is Chris Matthews? Is it the NBC? It is the NBC, MSNBC Chris Matthews. Didn't know that. I got this at a thrift store. So, have not read it yet. I love John F. Kennedy. It's just I have to like be in the mood to read nonfiction. So I have not got to this yet. I found these years ago at a book outlet, and it's really cool. It's these lost conversations with Jacqueline Kennedy, and it comes with a book, but it also comes with like CDs to listen to the conversation. I don't even have a CD player anymore unless it's in the car. So I listened to some of them, but I haven't finished them yet. So it's on my list, but it was such a steal, and I got it years ago, and I can't part with them. The Person in the Situation by Lee Ross and Richard E. Nesbitt. I'm going to reread this at some point. This is an incredible psychology book about human behavior. It's so good. It's probably one of the best on the market. So I had to special order it, but it's worth it, and I'm definitely going to be rereading this. I'm actually going to put it aside so I can put it in my current TV read pile. I also got this at a thrift store. I love thrift stores. It's like barely touched. Conspiracy of Fools by Kurt Eichenwald. I think this is about what led up to the 2008 market crash. However, it's very vague. So I have not read this yet. I want to, but it's hefty. And again, I have to really be in the mood to get involved in like a big book like that. I special ordered this years ago from a bookstore downtown Hamilton that's no longer around, but it was amazing. The collected works of Oscar Wilde, complete plays, poems, and stories. This is amazing. It was definitely something I wanted in my collection. I just haven't gone through all of it yet. But if you're a fan of Oscar Wilde, I mean, you should own it anyway. Happiness Hypothesis. I haven't read it yet. I've had it since I worked at the bookstore like 10 plus years ago. A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. How can you not own this book? Notes of a Native Son by James Baldwin. I really wanted to get the rest of his collection, but last year they were sold out at every bookstore I tried. So it's on a mission to finish his collection this year. He's a brilliant writer. He's phenomenal. So, yes, I can't wait to get the rest of the collection and complete it and then put it on like a more prominent display. And The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. This is probably the only self-help book I recommend to every single person I meet. If they ask me, this book talks about living in the now, in the present, and it has changed my life. It's incredible. How it talks about training your brain and stuff. Like, I've marked off so many things I love. This is one of the best self-help books, and I usually don't recommend self-help books to people because a lot of them are written by just like anybody, and I don't necessarily like that, but this one is so good. Took the next section out. My hardcover Dan Browns. I actually have others in like a mass market paperback that'll come up in another video. But the Da Vinci Code, which is like this was bought when it first came out, still one of my favorite books. I might reread this. I'm gonna think about that. I'm gonna put that aside. Origin, I haven't finished yet. I've heard good things. Inferno is so fucking good. I would put it right behind Da Vinci Code, to be honest. The twist ending in this is frightening. It's so good. I might recommend this in another video. It's so good. The Paris Hours. I got this on sale, like at a book outlet. It was like really, really cheap. I tried to read it and I couldn't get into it. I have to be in the mood for historical fiction. So I will pick it back up. It's just, I love the cover too. It's just, eventually. Tell the Truth, Shame the Devil. This is about a terrorist attack. It's apparently a thriller. I got it originally from the library. I found this at a thrift store. I just haven't finished it yet, but it was good. I just haven't picked it back up. But from what I read before I returned it to the library, it was really good. And Consumed by David Cronenberg. David Cronenberg is one of my favorite directors ever. He's done some of the best movies. The Fly, with Jeff Goldblum. He did Eastern Promises. He did A History of Violence. He is so good. So this is his first horror novel. I just haven't read it yet. I'll get to it. 3 books by Malcolm Gladwell. I got all of these from thrift stores. The Tipping Point. I haven't read it. What the Dog Saw and Other Adventures. I haven't read it. And Blink. The Power of Thinking Without Thinking. I did read that. I got the other ones. They were all like $4 each. I'll get to them eventually. Richard Feynman's 6 Easy Pieces, Essentials of Physics, explained by its most brilliant teacher. I pick it up every once in a while when I want to learn something. How to Think Like Sherlock Holmes Mastermind. This is a really good psychology book, and it teaches you like the logic of deduction. It's really good, actually. I really liked it. So, yeah, this is one of the better psychology books I've ever read. The Sixth Extinction, An Unnatural History. This is apparently an incredibly terrifying book about the waves of extinction that happened in history. I got this at a thrift store. I just haven't read it yet, and I have to be in the mood to scare the shit out of myself. Roald Dahl, his collected stories. Roald Dahl is fucked up. Like, these are all his adult stories. Well, stories he wrote for adults. And they're really disturbing. He's totally underrated. There's one in here. Did I mark it? My favorite one ever. Oh my God, I have the receipt from in here. 2015. Yes, Lamb to the Slaughter. That book is so good. That story. So good. If you can ever read it, definitely check it out. The Feather Thief. True crime about a heist where he steals feathers. I'll talk about it in another video. Hyperspace. A scientific odyssey through parallel universes. Time warps in the 10th dimension. It's really good. It's terrifying though. It's good. One of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. And apparently it used to be taught in schools and then they removed it. And that was the biggest mistake they ever made. Solomon Northup's 12 Years a Slave. Narrative of a citizen of New York, Solomon Northup, kidnapped in Washington City in 1841 and rescued in 1853 from a cotton plantation. This book is so disturbing. The movie is incredible adaptation, but to read it from Solomon's perspective is just incredible. Spook, I talked about it in the last video. It's a scientific book about the afterlife. And Stiff, I will talk about this in another video because this is one of my favorite science books I've ever read in my life. And it's about what happens to cadavers. It's so good. I love art history. I love art and art history. So The Vanished Smile, A Mysterious Theft of Mona Lisa. Really, really good art history book. Trial of Henry Kissinger by Christopher Hitchens. This is a really, really good book. It's political science where Christopher Hitchens makes the argument that Henry Kissinger should have been brought to trial for war crimes. And Mortality, Christopher Hitchens wrote before he passed away as an atheist. So it's his perspective of mortality as an atheist. The weird shit. More of the random shit. Got this at a thrift store. It's Jim Carrey's Memoirs and Misinformation. Apparently it's not a biography, it's a fiction book. Haven't read it yet. This Is Where I Leave You. I actually haven't read the book, but I saw the movie, and this is by the guy that wrote House of Leaves. I read this book in 45 minutes. This book is so weird. It's so good. It's just a really quick read. And again, similar to House of Leaves, you have a lot of like weird layout. You have a lot of like odd pictures. But it's a lot easier to get through. So I'm not going to say too much about what it's about because I read it in 45 minutes. The back says, one sword will kill a season. One will kill a country. One I'm making now will even kill an idea. Super good book. I have this like really old ass version. It's apparently a library edition, The Count of Monte Cristo and The House of Seven Gables. Those Across the River. It's apparently a horror. I've tried to read it 3 times and cannot get into it, but apparently it's amazing. We'll try again. Neil Gaiman, Trigger Warning. Short Fictions and Disturbances. I admittedly haven't read this, but I got it on sale, so. I got this on sale years ago when I worked at the bookstore, but I didn't grab the other 2 stupidly, and now I have a solo version where it won't match. Fellowship of the Ring. I keep trying to read it. It's hard. A Divine Comedy by Dante. I haven't read it yet. It's on my TBR for this year. Honestly, it's a poem technically, but it's intense. So I thought, oh, poetry, simple. No, it's intense. And then I have my Dostoevsky books. Well, there's another one, but Brothers Karamazov. Haven't got to it yet. The Idiot. One of Dostoevsky's most personal and intense works of fiction. I've heard this is his best work ever. And The Double. I read The Double. The Double is really, really, really good about someone that meets their doppelganger. It's so good. The Trial. I put it on my list for this year. Just haven't read it yet. I'm only in May still. I have time. I'm doing about 1 classic a month. I'll get to it. And then my Nabokov books. We have The Illusion Defense, which is weird. And it's about chess. Despair, apparently another doppelganger book. And Pale Fire. Apparently this one's quite dark. I just haven't read it yet. Mr. Bean holding Teddy. I fucking love Mr. Bean. And I actually have the teddy bear. So I have to have this. My colorful classics, I call them. Indigo, the bookstore in Canada, sells these, and they're usually like 3 for $10. So I love the covers because they're so colorful and I think they look really good on shelves. So I definitely want to grab more when I can go into a store. This is not, but it's still a bright book. This is a Penguin classic, The Great God Pan. I talked about this in one of my wrap-ups. It's an incredibly disturbing horror book. It's disturbing. Heart of Darkness. I need to reread this. But this is the book. It's super small. This is the book that is Apocalypse Now is based on. Jane Eyre, haven't read it. But the Michael Fassbender movie was really good. Turn of the Screw, Henry James, classic haunted house. Tolstoy Selected Stories, haven't read it. Journey in the Center of the Earth, haven't read it. Brave New World, haven't read it. Daughter of Time, I've read. It's really good. This is a really unique book about whether or not Richard III killed his nephews. It's believable, the point that the author puts forward. Okay. Crime and Punishment. I've tried to read this 3 times. It's hard. Can't get into it. 1984, one of my favorite books of all time. Everybody should read this book. Dracula, haven't read it. Halloween plans. Also, I have these planned for the summer. The Odyssey and the Iliad. I'm planning to get Circe, so I have to read the Odyssey this summer. And they look like summer books to me. I don't know why. I'm not even going to pull these ones out. I have the Twilight series. I got them for free. Someone was getting rid of them on Facebook Marketplace. I've never read teen books. I've said this in another video. So I'm going backwards in life reading, and I'm not looking forward to these. So they might just sit there and rot. Okay, I'll start with the ones I can easily get. When I Move Wally, my yoga llama. You have to have knickknacks on your shelf. I don't care what anybody says. You have to. It showcases your personality. Pax. This is a middle grade book. And it has a fox on it, so I bought it. But then I started reading it, and it seems like it's going to be really, really sad. And I swear to God, if this fox dies, I'm going to melt. So I'm anticipating a sad read here. Have to be in the mood for a sad read. Nonfiction here. The Greatest Salesman in the World. And The Magic of Believing. I think it was this one that Matthew McConaughey said in an interview, like, changed his life. It didn't change my life. But we're allowed to have different opinions. Hector in the Search for Happiness is so friggin' sweet. It's such a good book. It's so, so, so sweet. And the movie with Simon Pegg was also really good. This is a really, really heartwarming book about what it really means to be happy. Hector's a psychiatrist character, by the way. Hector and the Secrets of Love, haven't read it yet, and Hector and the Search for Lost Time. These covers, by the way, are so, so, so cute. I love him. English Patient by Michael Ondaatje. I got the movie version because I got it at a thrift store, and I'm kind of glad I got the movie cover because I love Ralph Fiennes. This is a really, really, really good book. It's like historical fiction romance. It's like a classic. It is different from the movie. I kind of like the movie better. But Michael Ondaatje is a wonderful writer. Okay. I also have Graham Greene, The End of the Affair. This is a really, really, really good book. It's about an affair, but it's also about coincidence and fate and stuff. It's really, really good. Graham Greene wrote this after like a real affair that he had. It's very honest, very raw. It's really good. And then I have 2 from Tracy Chevalier. I hope I'm saying that right. The Girl with the Pearl Earring. I haven't read it, but I love art, so again. And then The Lady and the Unicorn. I tried to read this a couple times and I can't get into it, so I will try again because I love these. I love the unicorn tapestries, actually. They're one of my favorite pieces of art, so I will. I have 3 Harry Potter books. I got them from Value Village, a thrift store. I keep trying to read them. I can't get into them, but I figured maybe have them for my future kids if J.K. Rowling wasn't such a bitch. What else do we got here? Wonder. This is a really, really good middle grade book. It's so sad. And the movie was really good as well. I recommend it if you want like a really sweet story. Big Fish. I read this last year. The movie's better. Unpopular opinion, but the movie is better. Tim Burton did the movie. I Hold a Wolf by the Ears, Laura Vandenberg. This book made me feel stupid. I didn't like it at all. These are short stories. And I keep trying to like sell it and no one wants to. So I'll probably donate it to a library. The Need by Helen Phillips. I hated this fucking book. It's like a mother horror story. I fucking hate this book. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. It's not relatable at all if you're not a parent. You All Grow Up and Leave Me by Piper Weiss. This is supposed to be a true crime about this girl, and she's like this rich girl, and her tennis instructor was actually charged with like rape and stuff. But she was like obsessed with him. But I could not get through it because all she does is talk about rich things in Brooklyn, and I want crime. If I'm reading a true crime book, I want crime. And the worst fucking book I've ever read in my entire life of living. I hate this book. I hate this book so fucking much. Hot Pterodactyl Boyfriend. Oh my god. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. This is the worst piece of shit ever. I fucking hate this book. I hate it. It makes me angry thinking about it. This stupid pterodactyl named Pike and all these girls get obsessed with it. Ugh. I thought it was a satire. The Hobbit. I have here. I bought this with my employee discount. The receipt's still in it in 2014. This is one of my favorite children's books ever. I can't wait to have children one day and read them. This book. The Giver. I spoke of this before. One of the best dystopian books ever. And one of my favorite books of all time. Everybody should read it. It's for teens, but everybody should read it. Charlotte's Web, same thing. One of my favorite books of all time. So sweet. I can't wait to have kids read it to them. We won't read them The Giver. I'll let them find that on their own. The Once and Future King. This is such a good book. This is so good. This is what Disney based The Sword and the Stone on. It's the story of King Arthur and Merlin. And it's so good. Disney movie too. Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. My favorite Roald Dahl story ever. And it's such a good movie too. I love this book. Books for my future children. The Little Prince. Classic, of course. How can you not have this book? It's so good. And it's got foxes on the cover. Golden Compass. And of course I can't find the other two that match this. When You Reach Me. I apparently started reading this and just haven't finished it. This is apparently a really good book, time travel. It's for kids. Wrinkle in Time, really good kids book about time travel as well. So good. Haven't read the other ones though. Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe. How can you not have this? And Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. This is like a kid's horror. It's actually really good. It would be a good introduction for adults to get into horror. It's really good. It's creepy too. I have two short story collections, North American Lake Monster by Nathan Ballingrud and Wounds. I've only read like the first story in Wounds, but these ones have some really good creep stories. They're like horror, but he's like kind of indie horror. Anya Alburn, The Bird Eater, really good book. I recommended this in a horror video. It's a really good exploration of grief and trauma and some incredibly creepy scenes where it feels like someone's watching you. It does that very well. Catch-22 by Joseph Heller. Apparently this is not that good. I got it at a thrift store. I'll get to it one day when I'm in the mood. To Kill a Mockingbird, because of course you have to have this book, or at least read it once in your life. Ernest Hemingway, The Sun Also Rises, actually one of the greatest closing like lines in a book I've ever read. Isn't it pretty to think so, is the last sentence in this book. Just tell you how beautiful that writing is. Oops. Worst fucking book ever. Not the worst ever. Hot Pterodactyl Boyfriend is the worst ever. This is really shit though. Kin by Keelan Patrick Burke. This is really actually, like, a lot of people really love this book as like a good horror, but honestly, just watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It tried to do that. It just, to me, didn't succeed. The Elementals by Michael McDowell. I hated this. It's Southern horror. I really, really didn't like this book, and it was really highly recommended as like an underrated gem. I hated it. Not good. These two little short, super tiny little books by Keelan Patrick Burke, also Blanky and Sour Candy. Blanky is like a grief horror story meets like monster horror story. A lot of people like Blanky better, but I liked Sour Candy better because Sour Candy reminded me a lot of the Twilight Zone. This is very reminiscent of the Twilight Zone, if you're into that. The Gargoyle. This is really good. I bought this also when I worked at the bookstore. I don't know what it's about. It says an epic page turner though. But I'm going to put this on my To Be Read. It's about past lives in Germany. Love that transcends the boundaries of time. Okay, adding that to my To Be Read pile. H.P. Lovecraft, some stories of his, and not any of my favorites are in here, but creepy dude. Creepy stories. Forgery of Venus by Michael Gruber. I got this used. I have not read this one in particular, but this is about like forging a painting, and I love art and art history, so Jesus, I will read it. I got this used as well. There once lived a woman who tried to kill her neighbor's baby. Scary Fairy Tales by Ludmila Petrushevskaya. I'm part Russian, and that was terrible. I feel ashamed. These are actually really creepy, really eerie. Russian fairy tales and mythology is some of my favorite out there, and this does a really good job of doing like modern creep fairy tales. It's really good. The Trouble with Goats and Sheep. I marked off some things that I liked in it. Like a murder in a neighborhood happens in England, I think. In the 70s, and these two little girls try to like find out what happened and who did it. I got bored. But apparently it's amazing, but I got bored. Winter People, Jennifer McMahon. I hated this book. Boring. Not scary, boring. Nyctophobia, Christopher Fowler. I tried to get into it, couldn't get into it at the moment, but I want to give this another try. And The Chalkman by C.J. Tudor. I also got it at a thrift store, and I just haven't read it yet. As you can tell, most of these I got from a thrift store. I'm really for like thrift shopping because you can find some like incredible deals. I have some Sherlock Holmes ones here. The Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes and The Return of Sherlock Holmes. Wish I had the rest of the complete set, but you know, didn't buy them at the time because I'm an idiot. And then I found these really cool vintage ones. The murderous conspiracy surrounds a fabulous Agra treasure. Sherlock Holmes unravels the mystery of the Sign of the Four. Oh, I love this like Penguin classic one. And same with this one, The Hounds of Baskervilles. I got this like really cheap at a thrift store. I love these like vintage covers. Sherlock Holmes, as you could tell, big fan. One of the best classics I could recommend to everybody. And then The Renown by Agatha Christie, one of my favorite books of all time, best thriller of all time. No one ever guesses a twist ending. New all-time favorite book. I read it this year. All Quiet on the Western Front. Holy fuck, this book is incredible. Incredible. Beautiful, beautiful writing. Totally real, totally raw. It's so good. Literally my favorite book. One of my favorite books of all time now. Study in Scarlet. I'm looking to hunt these books down in the complete collection because this art is stunning. That's the first Sherlock Holmes, by the way. This book I keep wanting to recommend, but I don't know how to recommend this to people. The Man Who Was Thursday by G.K. Chesterton. This is a mystery about anarchists. It's so good, but I feel like not a lot of people are going to like it. It's a hidden gem, for sure. So good. Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I'll read it at Christmas. Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng. I got rid of Little Fires Everywhere because I didn't like it. Everything I Never Told You is really good. Much better. Importance of Being Earnest, like an Oscar Wilde thing. This has one of my favorite plays ever. It's a one-act play called Salome, about Salome wanting the head of John the Baptist on a platter. It's really good. Dark, but good. F. Scott Fitzgerald, Great Gatsby. This is a Penguin version of it. A really, really good book. A classic I think everybody should read. Arguably, I'd like to read it again, though. Watership Down. Apparently, this is an incredibly dark and disturbing book. It's like rabbit violence. But I'm going to read it for sure. It's one of my friend's favorite books. He loves this book. And then we have Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. My favorite classic ever. It's super short. Every single person should read this book. So good. So good. Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. I keep trying to read this and I keep putting it down. I'm trying. It opened really strong, I'll say. But now I'm getting into like family politics and stuff and I'm not really into it. A Gentleman in Moscow. This was on a bunch of like favorite lists and stuff. It's hefty. The writing is very dense. But I think if you like historical fiction, you'll probably like it. Take Me Apart by Sarah Sliger. Hate this book. And Putney. Some celebrity like biographies I have here. I have this warped old version of Al Pacino. These are like conversations from Al Pacino and this interviewer. It's good. It's good. It's like super old, but I love Al Pacino. Total Recall, Arnold Schwarzenegger's book. I haven't read it yet. I bought it when it came out. I have Steve-O's memoir, Covering My Real Name. He signed it. He was so cool. I met him and loved him, and this book was really, really good. It's a really good book about his story and his battle with addictions. Jim Marrs is, I think he's a retired CIA agent. Something like that. But this is The $1 Trillion Conspiracy, how the New World Order, man-made diseases, and zombie banks are destroying America. I got it at a thrift store. I like to read conspiracy books sometimes because I like to know the fuck other people are thinking. This is a true crime book I have not read yet. The Man Who Loved Books Too Much. True story of a thief, a detective, in a world of literary obsession. I'm planning to make a true crime video. Put that aside as well. This fucking book is so good. This is so good. It's one of the best memoirs ever. Oh my God. The Disaster Artist. This is like the movie cover James Franco ended up adapting. Let's not go into James Franco, but he did incredible. He was really passionate about this story. And if you've never seen The Room that Tommy Wiseau did.
Tear me apart, Lisa!
It's got some of the most like quotable.
I fed up with this world.
It's got some of the most quotable movie moments, and it's like a really, really actually good movie. But it's so cringy. You can like feel the cringe through the screen. But the other guy that was in this wrote this about the whole making of it. It says a lot about film. actually. And how someone that was just so passionate chased his dreams, which is what I think why people keep going back to watch this movie. Humans by Matt Haig is really funny. Alien comes to town to take over a professor's life because he solved this math equation that's going to like change the world or whatever. So the aliens want to destroy him. It's a really good story about what makes humans humans. It's really good. Poetry books, Memories by Lang Levy. I talked about this in my weird book recommendation, Don DeLillo Cosmopolis. Another poetry book, Whiskey Words and a Shovel. Really good to get you through a shit breakup. How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. Haven't read it yet, but got it at a thrift store. Tequila Mockingbird, Cocktails, a Literary Twist. You know, when I can go back to hosting after the pandemic, I'm gonna get everybody drunk. The Weirdness by Jeremy Bushnell. This is a really interesting book where the devil wants this guy to find his lucky cat. It is weird. As Meat Loves Salt, Maria McCann. This book is really dark. This character is really, really disturbed. I got this like used. I haven't got through it yet because it's just, he's so dark. Folcott's Pendulum, Umberto Eco. This is kind of like a better written, you know, it's a better written version of like Dan Brown's. Like it's like a mystery about Folcott's Pendulum, which is such an interesting thing. I can't wait to see one day. But you know, Dan Brown's books move faster. This is more literary, I would say. This is like a literary art history puzzle book. Midnight at the Bright Ideas Bookstore. I DNF'd it. I forgot to put this in one of my wrap-ups, but I read it this year, What Happened That Night. It's like a revenge story about a girl that gets raped. It was okay. And finally, Solutions and Other Problems and Hyperbole and a Half by Ali Brosh. These are like graphic novels. She started on the internet drawing these really crude drawings and like, telling hilarious life stories. It's really funny. It's so funny. And that's it. Part 1 of the bookshelf tour is done. Yes. Get ready for more. They will come in the next, like, in the subsequent weeks. So, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you read any of these books, if you like any of these books, or if any book, like, triggered something for you and you want to recommend me a book that's similar to any one of these, please let me know. I'm always looking for new recommendations. So yes, like, comment, and subscribe. I want to have an exit.